Everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at weather for the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, looks like we've got high pressure building in, and it's going to turn it warmer and drier. It can't get much colder though than it is today. Absolutely appalling day. This would be radar picture, or it was a radar picture at 11:30 this morning, with lots of heavy rain coming into Wales and parts of Midlands. As we got through the morning, that rain has moved east and south across many parts of England and Wales, giving a thoroughly wet spell. It's turning lighter and more sporadic now as it moves away to the south, but we've still got some heavy rain along the south coast. We've still got bursts of rain many other parts of England and Wales, but it's really the temperature today the main talking point. Now, they're okay down in the southwest, nothing to write home about, but for instance, Dunk as well, up to 14 degrees. If we go further southwest, we find that Plymouth is up to 16 degrees, but for much of Wales, the Midlands, really, really cold. Cosford Air Base there, just 11 degrees this afternoon. Coventry, 10 degrees. This is website XP Weather, by the way. You can find a link to it on my links page. Wittering, just 9 degrees with a dew point of 7 degrees. Absolutely atrocious, really, for the middle of September. Not sure if these are date records, but certainly a really, really cold day for much of England and Wales. Bedford at 9 degrees, and so it goes on. Luton Airport just 10 degrees. Cambridge just 10 degrees as well. Absolutely astonishingly dreadful temperature. So it can't get much worse than this, and indeed we are going to find it getting better as we move through into the 10-day period. So let's have a look at the GFS temperature ensembles, and we can see that, well, the red line, remember, is where we should be at this time of the year. We can see that we're below average, obviously, with these cold temperatures. We're going to be going a little bit above average in the next 24 hours in the upper air, but you're not going to notice much difference down on the surface. Then we're going to go colder than average again. But really from around the 19th, 20th, we're going to find the temperature starting to lift up, and that's as a ridge of high pressure begins to build in off the Atlantic from the Azores sort of area, starting to bring up some much warmer air out of the tropical Atlantic. And that's going to be the trend, I think, as we go through the weekend and into next week, and see all members of the ensemble picking up, going above that red line, well above the red line, actually, as we get through to around the 22nd and the 23rd of September. A proper warm sort of spell. And then we start to get a split from around the 24th, 25th. We're getting a lot of divergence here within the ensemble. Now, some members of the ensemble do keep it very warm, going out into the final days of September. Others are turning it much, much cooler, and we're dropping back down well below average again with some members of with some members of that ensemble. So what we can say here is that we get through around the 24th, 25th, we're starting to get a split developing. I'll explain in a moment why that split is taking place. But the temperature anomalies for the next week, taking us from the 17th of September to the 24th of September, showing that we're going to be about average, to be honest. We're going to be very much about where we should be. So a few areas coming out a little bit below average, 1 or 2 areas coming out a little bit above average, but overall we're going to be about near normal for the time of year. If we have a look at the generic charts, we can see that we've got the area of high pressure sitting there over the country on Sunday the 22nd of September. So that high pressure will build in and build in strongly. The low pressure being pushed off to the northwest of the British Isles. And as we run through the charts, we can see that that high pressure is going to stay dominant as we move through into the start of next week, really keeping it very warm, dry and sunny. I think we're looking at temperatures somewhere around the low, maybe just at the outside up to the mid-20s. That high pressure still in control as we go through to the 25th of September, and then as we go through to Friday the 27th, this is taking us to the 10-day period. Then this is the reason why we're getting that split developing in the ensembles, because we start to see that high pressure moving northwards. Now this is hinting at a degree of retrogression. Retrogression, remember, is where the high pressure goes from east to west. It retrogresses rather than the normal flow, which is west to east. Of course, that's the normal flow in the northern hemisphere. Everything normally moves west to east. Sometimes you get retrogression, which takes the pressure belts east to west, and we're sort of hinting at that with the GFS at the moment. If that high pressure gets far enough north, it's not quite far enough north on the 27th of September on this particular run of the GFS model, but if it gets far enough north, it's going to start to allow this low pressure to undercut from the Atlantic, and it'll also start to put in much, much cooler air from the north and the northeast. So no doubt some members of the ensemble, the GFS temperature ensemble, are doing this, and that's why we've got that split developing within the GFS temperature ensembles. Now, if we have a look at the temperatures for the coming few days, we're going to be up into the low 20s as we get through to the weekend. A very nice warm spell of late summer weather coming up. Isn't an Indian summer, by the way. Indian summer is what we get when we get warm weather in October and even in November. It usually comes after the first frost, actually, the proper definition of an Indian summer. This is not an Indian summer, although you'll probably be hearing a lot about Indian summer in your papers and on the television over the next few days. It is an Indian summer. It's just a spell of warm late summer weather as we go through excuse me, as we go through to Tuesday the 24th of September. Yeah, it's still very warm for the time of year, with temperatures into the low 20s there, up to 22 degrees. You probably increase that a little bit more, maybe up to 23 or 24 degrees. Have a look at the ECMWF Day 10 chart. We see that, well, again, the high pressure is dominating much of the week. We can actually go back and have a look at Day 8. This is Tuesday the 24th of September. High pressure right over top of the country. So what happens with it as we go forward to the 25th and then on up to the 27th? Yes, it's taking that high pressure northward. So again, there's a degree of retrogression going on in there, with the high pressure shifting from being centred, say, over southern England to being centred more towards Iceland. It's still not quite far enough north to start to pull down much cooler air, but it wouldn't have to go much further north than that to start to bring in much cooler temperatures, and also to start to allow these areas of low pressure to undercut from the Atlantic. And that could well be the way things develop as we move through into the very end of September and the start of October. I wouldn't be surprised. So this is the GM, the Canadian model, finally for the start of next week, Tuesday the 24th. High pressure is right over top of the country, so dry, sunny and warm. Again, we've got we're hinting at retrogression here. We're not quite there as we get through to Friday the 27th, but we are hinting at taking the high pressure northwards again. Still pretty warm though. I think we are going to have a warm week through much of next week, but as we get on towards the latter stages of next week, we do have to watch for starting to bring much cooler air down from the north and the northeast, and possibly getting these areas of low pressure undercutting from the Atlantic. Going back to the JFS model, just very finally, this is what it actually goes for as we get through to the latter stages of September. It finally takes that high pressure up towards Scandinavia on this particular run of the JFS model, and then starts to block it out to the north of the country. That starts to bring in much cooler air from the east, and eventually, as we get through as far as the model goes, which is 384 hours away, so it's really just guesswork, really, the 3rd of October. But it's sort of bringing that low pressure in, undercutting the high pressure, and turning it much more unsettled, very wet, and it would be very cool as well with this area of high pressure to the north of the country. So I think what we've got to take from this is that we are going to get a spell of warm, dry, sunny weather through the weekend and through much of next week, at least the first half of next week. Got to watch how far north that high pressure is going. If it goes far enough north, it's going to start to pull in much cooler air from the north and the northeast. So that's the first thing we've got to watch out for. And if it gets even further north than that, it could start to allow an undercut from the Atlantic, which could turn it much wetter as we get through to the very end of September and the start of October. So lots to be going on with, but main thing really is actually going to be a spell of dry, sunny and warm weather from the weekend into the start of next week. Do enjoy it. It's a 5-day forecast tomorrow, no doubt it's going to be a very pleasant one, and that's all for now. Thanks for watching.